Hey, once again, I want to welcome you guys to Ministry Conference 2026. And I got some really special guests with me tonight. And well, it's tonight as we're talking. I don't know when this is going to show over the weekend, but if it's morning, good morning. If it's evening, good evening. If it's afternoon, and Merry Christmas. But yeah, all that good stuff. But I am super excited about this conversation today because I'm sitting down with a couple of guys that have been a part of one of, I would say, the best life groups I've ever been a part of in my life. And one of the longest ones that have been going on at Neighborhood Friends Church. And so I chose to use these guys because their leadership in this life group is more than just a Bible study. It's more than just guys getting together and talking and having coffee and having barbecue or whatever it is, but they do all that too. What I'm seeing as a pastor, I was able to back in December, walk away from this life group, which was actually kind of painful and still is painful for me a little bit, but I had to walk away because I want to start something else that I can let go of there too. And I was able to let these guys, these two gentlemen right here, go in this life group and lead men in a way that I knew that I could be competent, that they weren't just having conversations, they were discipling men. And so in the 30 years that I have been in ministry, I've served in a number of different churches and different communities. And one of the things that I've come to realize is that many churches gather people well, and far fewer truly help people find spiritual community, depth, and especially the goal of our faith is discipleship. And I think one of the reasons is because many churches have struggled to cultivate strong small group ministries, or what we call life groups, or environments where people can genuinely share life together. Kind of Dietrich Bonhoeffer's book, Life Together. If you've not read it, fantastic book, short read, but it's really talking about Christian community and the value of being together one-on-one and in small groups. But statistically, most churches, and I heard this earlier this year, that we're down to less than 30% of people in congregations involved in small groups or sitting around smaller tables in people's homes and building intentional community. So if you look at these churches that have, 5,000 people or 10,000 people or more, less than 30% of those people have people connecting in smaller groups. And I think we're missing the point. And, but if you look at the ministry and the life of Jesus early on in the church, so much of discipleship happened relationally around tables, conversations, shared stories, and every single day life. Like every day they were together. One of my favorite books on this topic is from a guy by the name of Leonard Sweet out of the Portland area. He wrote a book called From Tablet to Table, and he talks about how Jesus formed people more than it formed people in circles, often more than he did in rows. In fact, Jesus really didn't put people in rows and in chairs. He spoke to them around tables and not around stages. The church today in America gathers in rows more than they do in circles. And that's not just a metaphor. That's actually a reality. The circle really identifies as a way of building relationships one-on-one with each other. And I know these guys, when they meet, they sit in circles. That's how they meet. And honestly, that's part of what we've experienced together in this life group over the last number of years. So I thought I would just sit down with these two guys here. Thought we were going to have a couple others, but I'm grateful for Doug Stuke and Mike Benz, both on leadership in our church, but great leaders, one-on-one disciplers in our church of men. So let's start simple. Introduce yourself. How long have you been connected to Neighborhood Friends Church? What is your deepest, darkest sin? I mean, your job in the church. And why are life groups important to both of you guys? And don't jump at once. Yeah.
Doug, you want to go first, or?
I could do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Doug Spook, and I came to Neighborhood Friends when it was Northwest Friends. Um, they had given my son a job, and I had to come check that out, and ended up not leaving, and that was probably 12, 13 years ago. Um, then Donnie, I was under PJ's leadership, and then Donnie came in as leader
And you
and
didn't
started talking.
leave.
My son was still there, uh, and kept talking about life groups, and I was thinking, okay, I grew up in the Bible study uh, uh, era, and didn't really get what he was saying. So from time to time, we get a bunch of guys to come together, and it was pretty interesting that there was quite a bit of interest. Guys were thirsty for the fellowship, and I had been part of the Promise Keepers movement early on, because that was back when I was a young man, and I sat down and one day and said, I really don't know what it means to be a man. I am married. I have children.
Hmm.
And that must be what I am. I must be a man. And when Promise Keepers came out, I rolled back a little bit. I would ask other guys in the church, and they'd give me a weird look and try to get away from me as quickly as possible. Um, and Promise Keepers came out, and there were speakers and books and information, and I just gobbled it up. And I go,
Yeah.
gosh, how many men like me at the younger age, looking for some direction and having a hard time connecting. And so I've always had an interest there. And then the life groups settled in, and it just seemed a little more natural than a deliberate, structured men's ministry where you got to show up to certain events. It's more friendship based, and you have a group of friends, and Sunday you're looking to connect with those guys and say hi, how you doing? Connect with them during the week, and that's my 30,000 foot flyover.
And my biggest problem with both of you guys is that on Sundays, you can't stop connecting with the life group guys. It's like, go meet somebody new. And it's like, there's this just love for these guys that you are always in conversation with each other. And that's not a dig or anything. I love that. I think that's a good problem to have, is that I can't pull you away from the guys that you're very, very close to. And that's a powerful insight about this life group. But Mike, what's your thoughts?
Um, yeah. Then attending church, well, or neighborhood friends church, since it's been as long as I've been there, it's been neighborhood friends.
Yep.
So I think we're going on about 4 years this year. Started after COVID, and like Doug, it was a connection through my middle son, who was coming to youth group and knew Jacob Stuke, and he said, "Hey, let's go try neighborhood friends." And so we did, and we haven't left. So
Yeah.
we really, we'd done kind of the mega church thing, and it was just like you were talking earlier, it's big,
Yep.
and wanted something a little smaller and a little more intimate, and we found neighborhood friends, and just natural to. I think you can sum it up in one word, and that's accountability.
Hmm.
Because if you're just showing up to attend church, yes, you're talking before or after church, but you're there for hour and a half, maybe
Mm-hmm.
2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're back into life and doing what you need, what you're doing. And when you plug into a group like this, you're meeting outside of church, and I don't want this to sound bad, but the formality of church, you kind of check at the door, and now you were talking about in a circle,
Yeah.
earlier in our conversation. You're in a circle with a group of guys, and take you a couple of weeks to get to know these guys, and you start tearing the walls down, letting the walls down, let them in a little more.
Mm-hmm.
We notice that with new guys we invite into the group. There's always that initial period, but that's what I love about it. letting the guard down a little bit and being able to share and be held accountable. I know my brothers are going to hold me accountable.
Yeah. Amazing. Doug, what's your thoughts there?
The word that comes to mind for me is connection,
Mm,
and that's always difficult for men. Like you can
man.
walk into a church and a woman will walk in and a couple of the ladies will walk up to them. Next thing you know, they're in the corner hugging and praying and crying. And
So true.
guys are like, I hope they don't ask me to do that. And I remember Donnie, your wife Rhonda, spoke one Sunday and she said towards the end of the service, "Oh, now we're going to share our hearts." And I went up to her afterwards, and I said, "Don't ever say that in front of men again." Guys were bolting for the door.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Every Sunday, I look for the Kleenex boxes that are outside the rows, and I kind of hide them because I don't want men to see the Kleenex boxes. I don't want them to get these ideas that they're going to have to cry. Hopefully, we make them, but we don't want that to be the intention.
Well, guys struggle so much just with small talk. It's like,
Yeah.
so do you own any guns?
Right.
Do you have a knife?
Yeah.
Okay, good to meet you.
It's going to be
They used,
sunny today.
yeah, I used to have this what we'd call in a bigger church where you have a massive bathroom talk. The guy would walk in and he goes, "How's it going?" And the guy goes, "Oh, great. How about you?" "Great." And they both walk out and go, "Phew, he didn't ask."
Yeah,
But we're dying inside to be connected, but
I agree.
we're afraid it might make us look weak or what vulnerability is just a bad word
Mm,
in men's culture. Um, yet we're so thirsty for it. Yeah, we do have other things we do that are kind of, if you imagine our life group like with octopus arms that reach out, that give
mm-hmm,
guys opportunity where they could possibly join the the more intimate level, which is the weekly meeting.
mm-hmm.
Um, so we'll have the, like Mike said, meat night. Everybody can come to that. Nobody's intimidated by it. You know, you buy the biggest steak you can find, throw it on the grill, and eat it with your hands. And nobody feels vulnerable there. It's like, a lot of grunting and man stuff. But then they do connect,
Mm-hmm.
and that could lead to the intimacy of our Tuesday night meetings. And
Mm-hmm.
Saturday we have coffee. It's always the same spot, has been for years. You want to show up, and there we just talk about our lives.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah,
You
that's
mowing
not
the
a
lawn today or what? Yeah.
yeah, that's not even like a scripted Bible study. And yet, in the times that I've been to that one, it always comes back to conversations about faith, about Jesus, about families, about church. But it always starts with just the average everyday thing. What do you got going on this week? How was your week? Right. I think one of the things I'm also enamored by your group with is that you guys get online every morning. Is that still happening with the Bible app?
Yes,
Yeah.
a portion of us, about 6 or 7 of us, do that.
And what does that look like, just for everybody that's listening to kind of hear? And how's that impacted the group? Like, what has that done for you guys personally, maybe?
Well, that, it goes anywhere from, we call it our Devo time. And so the devotionals go anywhere from like a 5-day study to we've done, what is it, 30 days, 31
Uh-huh.
days. It's great because you get a scripture reading, you get an author's kind of 30,000-foot view of it or how it relates maybe to some of their experience. And then there's a section at the bottom where you can comment on it.
Hmm.
And that's where it gets pretty cool because, you read the scripture and, you go right to the comments and comment on it, or you read what the author might have to say. And You can share your thoughts, your feelings, your interpretation. And then you got guys who might look at it a little bit differently or
Mm.
say, oh, I saw what you were thinking. Did you think of it this way?
And I think the reason why I wanted to do this interview with you guys is really to encourage people in our other churches that if you don't have active life groups, it is worth the effort to start doing groups, small groups, even Bible studies, whatever they are, even if it's just starting with coffee. That's how this one started. It was pretty much just coffee and conversation that fed into scripture reading daily and prayer for one another. It takes a while to grow to that level, but it's so worth it. And I think you'll see people involved in serving. They will do other things because they are connected in these groups. So if you don't have small group ministry within your church, this is your encouragement to show you that it works. It's not an old school Baptist model, in a church. It is, it really does work because I think the founder of this was Jesus. This is what he did. He called a few guys together to start a ministry, and they changed the world with it. And I think that is still the greatest plan and option for the church today. And it's not just men, it's women, it's children, it's youth, it's vintage friends at our church. It's my dad's group. They pretty much have a youth group for anybody over 65. It's like, that's what it is. But I just wanted to get you guys on, and I'm grateful for your ministry to our church, and how God has used you to really truly disciple men. Guys' lives are being changed because of what you're doing, and I
Thanks.
appreciate it. So just wanted to say thanks for the conversation. And honestly, I think that what we're talking about tonight is bigger than just one group of men at one church. It's all these groups. People are actually, what Doug said earlier, we're starving for connection. We're starving for belonging, for friendship, for a sense of spiritual family and growth. And maybe one of the most important things one of the most important things the church can do today is help people move from rows to circles, from attendance to authenticity in community and connection. So super grateful for you guys. Thanks for being on. And you got any parting words, encouragement to the churches?
Just whatever it takes to make connection for men, to me, and not make it from the typical church model.
Yeah.
One good example on the men's retreat, we thought, well, it's okay. It's important we have snack table because guys love to eat,
Crazy.
and and we end up there, and I saw Micah, who was in the band on Sunday morning, and he comes storming in like, I got to get up to on the stage, and he gets to the snack table and shifts back down to first gear and goes slowly. He's like hunting, like a. I asked him, I said, have you ever walked by the snack table uh, uh, without slowing down? He goes, never. And it was such a connection point. It
It
was like
was.
guys were talking, and they'd start praying together, kind of like sharing their hearts or something.
I know. If you put beef jerky and popcorn at a table, guys are going to like pray for one another. It's the key.
But you just have to shape it to what it fits. Meet nights, food, what breaks down the barriers for guys? What can they do together?
Yeah.
And it walk up, hey, let's make fools of ourselves and start crying and hug each other. And they're going, okay, I think there's another church down the street somewhere. Yeah.
That doesn't have Kleenex on there at the end of every row, flowers up front.
Well, and that's the beauty of men's ministry. You shape it, form it to help guys break down their barriers and connect with each other.